my informative speech, I decided to do the Australian culture. Australia is known as the land down under because it is entirely south of the equator. The climate is very dry and the wildlife is enormous and consists of over 19 million people. According to Tony Reno, Australia was originally settled by Great Britain as a prison colony in the late 1700s. Because of this, Australia has kept some of the customs that the British brought over, and they still practice today. One example is that they drive on the left side of the road. One reason why I chose to pick Australia to do my speech over is because of my desire to travel there someday. And luckily enough, I get to go second semester and study in Sydney, Australia. Now we can learn about the unique characteristics and fascinating lives in which the Australian people live. Australia is most famous for its wildlife, which include marsupials, such as mammals that have pouches that are kangaroos, and koalas, wallabies, and platypuses. Another fascinating thing about the wildlife about these animals is that they are not found in any other country. Australia is also one of the world's richest countries. Its main exports are in wool and wine tourism, and the #1 in production of diamonds according to Claes Rosenmitz. If you are ever interested in visiting Australia, there are so many sights to see and things to do in order to make the most out of your vacation. Some things to do for you to take into consideration when visiting is to become accustomed to the language that Australians speak. Australians have a great sense of humor and sarcasm. They also don't partake in any physical contact such as hugs and kissing, and they like to shake hands when they meet people, according to Griffith University. Some examples of their slang is how America would say friend, Australians would say mate, how America would say barbecue, and Australians would say Barbie. There's also many stereotypes that come with the Australian cultures to outsiders. According to Australian stereotypes, one stereotype is that Australians ride kangaroos to work. Of course, this isn't true, and they walk to school and are very active. Another stereotype is that Australians live at the beach. Australians are very laid back in their work and are not consumed by work as much as we are in America. Another thing Australians love is their sports. According to Claes Rosenmitz, sports such as rugby, Australian Football League, cricket, tennis, and car racing, which is an example of the Formula One Australia Grand Prix, take place in Australia. They also have yacht racing, and they're not limited to sports as much as we are in the U.S. Other things that make Australia so unique are their landmarks. According to Claes Rosenmitz, the Great Barrier Reef is one of the largest group of coral reefs, which over 2,000 kilometers long, with fish that have skeleton fish, coral reefs, and abandoned ships. Another famous landmark is the Sydney Opera House. This is a great example of the Australian architecture where the two roofs resemble boat sails. The Sydney Opera House also overlooks the Sydney Harbour, which was a major scene in Finding Nemo. Another unique thing about Australia is their healthcare system. They're made up of two sectors, public and private. According to Millie Brown, the public sector is made up of Medicare and the pharmaceutical benefits. The pharmaceutical benefits has the government subsidize the cost of any necessary medicine for those in need. And the private sector is based off of any private care that any people need. In order to be in the private sector, you have to pay for it, which helps alleviate anything in the public sector. Hopes of this speech is that you will someday make your way to Australia, and I hope that you find all of these things as fascinating as I do.
Whoa.